Hey, everybody, welcome back to Morning Talk with Mike. It is a segment for MT Homestead. I'm glad you guys are here. Well, at least one person's here, and that's okay. So we're going to get started. Hey, I got my coffee. Again, my favorite Texas pecan from HEB that Terry gets for me. I'm drinking it out of my Big Mike mug, my big mug. That Jesse at Lazy Days Ahead made for me. He also was during Pinecone Fest. So he does a really good job laser engraving these mugs. And we sent him 24 mugs just like this. I can't remember what color. I think they were black. And he's going to laser engrave these with MT Homestead on one side. The opposite side will be the Mid-America YouTube meetup. And we're going to be giving away 22 of those at the meetup. Let's see. I know Jesse's coming down for 10 killer meetup, the 10 killer meetup. So if he brings those down there, what I might do is give half of them away at the 10 killer meetup, and then I'll give the other 11 away at the Mid-America. Because some people aren't going to Mid-America, and some people aren't going to 10 killer. So it'll give people who can't make both of them, or if you can make both of them, twice the chance to win. So we're going to give those away. I'm glad you guys are here. Warming up outside. Terry went outside with the dogs this morning, and she came back in and said, "Hey, did you see the daffodils and the flowers over at the shrubberies?" I said, "No, I just went out and fed the animals and came back in." So things are starting to pop. I'm glad the weather is changing. It really wasn't that bad of a winter, though.
Aside from the snow.
Yeah, we had a couple of the snow day, the one day with 11 inches of snow here. But other than that, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, we had some below zero days and stuff like that, but nothing like y'all up in Canada or the northern part of the United States get every year. So I did post the link at the top. If you would like to come up on panel, go ahead and click that link. Make sure I can see your face and not some kind of avatar or something like that. And then I'll bring you up on panel, and we'll get this thing started and start talking about what your week was all about. Our week really was normal for us. We did get, if you went to MT Homestead live on Wednesday, we did show you, I call him Chairman Mao, if anybody knows who Chairman Mao was. But Terry calls him Mr. Mao because all he does is meow, meow, all the time. But at first, he was really, he didn't want nothing to do with anybody. And Terry worked her magic and got him to eat some food. He was so bony.
He is still.
He's still bony, but he wouldn't come up. And then Terry went into the shop, and he ran into the shop right behind her after she fed him. I'm thinking, hey, that's a person that's got food. He went in there. I opened the door this morning. Didn't want nothing to do with outside. Didn't want to go outside. Terry put a litter box in there. He didn't use it, but he really liked going to the bathroom in the sawdust right there where the table saw is. So Terry goes, huh. So she went in there, scooped up one turdlet, if you will, and put it in the litter box and put it right there where the sawdust was. And so hopefully he'll use it. We'll get him trained that way. And I didn't see any mice. That was the good thing. Guys, during the wintertime, we were just inundated by mice. They were everywhere. They were digging through feed bags and tearing up stuff and making nests and whatever they could chew up and make a ball out of, I guess. That's what they were doing. But now we did catch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We caught 7 on these little sticky pads that you put down. And then we caught 2 in mice traps. And then now I don't see any.
There's still one big one.
Is there a big one?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
One big one.
So hopefully Chairman Mao will find that one and get rid of it because now he did take a big interest in the quail. He's seen the chickens. He'll walk around the chickens outside. Don't bother them at all. But when he seen the quail, he jumped up on what we have, these poop pans that we slide underneath there. And it was only about that much sticking out. And he showed a vested interest in the quail, but he can't get to them. But it drove the quail wild. But now that he's getting food on a regular basis, he's not jumping up there no more. So that's good. So I see Paul Honeyman's in here. How you doing? He said it is a beautiful day and it's 45 degrees in England. Well, that's good. I got to scroll up here to the top. Whistle Stop Homestead. They came in first. Thank you for joining us. There is Paul Honeyman. Butler Family Farm, Susan and Jerry. How are you doing? Just Kathy. Good to see you in here. Not a wandering gypsy. Okay. She is a veteran. Let's see. Linda, okie dokie. How are you doing? And there's our friend, Roadkill Ron. Brewing up some community coffee right now. Hey, there's Rebecca, Touched by Yarn. Good friend of ours. Let's see. Oh, there's Miss Arlene. How are you doing, Arlene? That's a beautiful picture. All right. Dabaka Maker. Good morning to you also. There's Jennifer Ocean. Good to see you in here. And I think I'm at the bottom. Jennifer O'Shea, the Bud Files. That just jumped. There's the Bud Files in here. There's Jamie and Kevin over at O'Rourke's Littlefield. They'll be coming to the meetup. Let's see. It's 46 degrees here in Wisconsin, but we'll get to 70 degrees. Getting nice. That's right. Hey, so I will tell you, yesterday was 84 here. So the weather is changing. I can live with 84. 84. If it stayed 84 all year round, I could live happy that way. And Jennifer's telling everybody to hit that like button. There's Troy Sutton. He's hitching a ride to the Mid-America, so he'll be there. Fisherman 506, how are you doing? And there's our friend Liam McGothigan. How are you doing this fine morning? Now, are you in England, Scotland, Ireland, somewhere up there, Liam? When you think of Liam McGothigan, first thing I say, Scotland. That name just hits me. That's Scotland. Hey, we got somebody in the green room, and that is our friend Jerry over at Butler Family Farms.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning to you.
I just got out of bed, so that's why I'm even still drinking my first cup of coffee.
There you go. Nice cup.
I don't usually get up this early in the morning.
Really?
Well, it's 8 o'clock, so I usually get up about 8.
Yeah.
But I have to feed a baby.
My buddy over at Garden Stock, hey, Susan. He don't get up until after 8:30. So
I had to feed a baby, so.
I seen that on your video. That's a baby calf?
No, it's a baby goat.
Oh, it's a baby goat.
But she's all black.
Yeah, she's all black. I couldn't tell. But I seen the diaper on her.
Yeah, she's out already running around the house with a diaper on this morning. So, yeah. I mean, she wakes up about 8 o'clock and starts screaming bloody murder and makes me get up. And I fix her a bottle and I feed her the bottle. And then she wants to run around. So I put a diaper on her and let her go.
Yeah.
Usually she's right underneath my feet, but she's not. So
Jennifer says
in the living room, jumping on the couch, jumping on the dogs, whatever.
24 where Jennifer is this morning. Going to get up to 80.
So how's your hips?
My hips are stiff. I don't know why they're that way, but I have to, like when I'm sitting in the recliner or the chair or anywhere, I got to stand up and rock back and forth for some reason. And then because my knees I have to have my knees done. Those are getting bad. But the hips, the good thing is there's zero pain in the hips.
That's good.
Where before it was just agonizing all the time. And I'm so happy to be off all the pain medications. It was making my stomach in a knot. And it was just like I was sleeping all the time and just wasting time. Because when I had the hips replaced, I did hardly no videos, nothing. I sat here in the lives with Terry, but it's getting better, a lot better. I did my CMP exam for the hips for the VA. And then I got a message yesterday. And mind you, I put in the claim on 7 October. I had the surgery on the 22nd of August. And I got around to doing my claim, my intent to file. I did right away, right after surgery to get a start date. And then I put in October 7th. But anyway, they just contacted me yesterday after all this time. And I call all the time, where's my claim at? It's in the decision mode, blah, blah, blah. So I get a call and they tell me that I need to do another CMP exam. I said, whoa, wait a minute. I called the 1,000 number for the VA and I said, whoa, why are you making me do another one? You already did a CMP exam through a company called Optimum, which is a contractor. And then they have another one called OTC, which is another contractor. I said, I already did one. Well, let me see why we're doing it. And she said, well, they're missing this one form 11. I go, well, what is that? Well, it's a check sheet that the doctor fills out. And when you went to your CMP exam, the doctor didn't fill it out with all the paperwork that they have to do. I said, how is that my fault?
Right.
How is that my fault? And why am I going in there? You're going to make me, because I said OTC only has doctors in Oklahoma City and in Tulsa. I said, why do I have to drive all the way up there? Because your doctor screwed up. Just tell him to fill out the form. Well, it has to be filled out during the exam. I said, why do you have this doctor if he doesn't know he has to fill out the form? And why, since October 7th till now, the 13th of March, now you just found out? You know, that why wasn't it in there? And because it's in phase 5. What happened to phase 1, 2, 3, 4, and now it's in 5, and you're just now realizing it's done? How is that taking care of the veteran? Well, sure. Then her voice started breaking up, and I know it's not her fault.
Right.
She's just on the call line, and I told her that. I said, I'm very sorry. I said, but it is absolutely frustrating that it took you this month, this long, and you can't approve it without that form. So now I have to go up there. But the screwed up thing is now I have to go through a full CMP exam so they can fill it out, because the doctor supposed to ask all these questions on there and then check me out. Where the other doctor, I was in there 15 minutes and I was gone, through Optimum. And see, that's what Elon and them are looking at. All this wasteful contracting. This one doesn't talk to this one, and so on and so forth. Now, I did deal with OTC when I went in there for the PACT Act, because when we were in the desert and stuff, we were left behind to guard our oil well fires, and we were burning human waste in buckets and stuff like that, because my platoon had the detail to stir the poop. And all they gave you was that little paper mask, and it was just caked with garbage on it every single day. And so I went there, and the one nurse, I failed the breathing thing. They give you this breathing test, and she goes, yeah, you failed it 3 times. I said, well, what does that mean? She goes, well, you don't have a lung capacity that you should have. I said, oh, wow. And so I was getting frustrated with them. And then I went in and talked to this doctor, and I don't know what country she's from. I couldn't understand, and she got mad at me. I said, what did you say? What did you say? And she goes, I'm speaking English. And I'm going, but I don't understand what you're saying. And come to find out, I got denied. Well, before I left there, and I said, I talked to the lady, the breathing, whatever she is. I said, what the heck? And she came outside with me, because it was a trailer they drove into McAllister, because they had appointments in that area. And I told her, I said, man, that's not right. And she's going, I'm going to tell you something. She goes, my husband's a vet too. She goes, our job is to prove you wrong. She goes, don't tell anybody I told you that. But she goes, our job is to prove you wrong. And they certainly did. I mean, I had all my paperwork, the years I worked at the Air Assault School, working around helicopters, breathing in JP8 fuel and all that kind of stuff. It was just, because on that list of things, I checked like 20 different things on the list over my career that I was exposed to. And they said, nope, you don't qualify for it. I said, wow. Then I found out that something like 1.9 million people applied for the PACT Act, and there's only something like 103,000 got approved for it. And I was like going, wow, that's
it's not a very good percentage.
Less than 10%. And when I was over there was over 100,000 people exposed to oil well fires. And I just going, that's just ridiculous. So it's just what it is. But I got to go back and do that. And then now I got to fight with the VA again for the knees, because they had the knees in there during the hip order that they cut. And there was the doctor said, there is no way I can do 2 hips and 2 knees and have you recover in between there so you can actually do physical therapy. He goes, I could take you in there and just take you apart and put you back together, but there is no way that you would be very successful going through physical therapy, because you need both knees and you need both hips.
Right.
in order to do it. So he goes, we got to do one at a time, and there's no way we can do that. He goes, it's like you don't want to come in here and do 2 hips at one time. You don't want to do 2 knees because you got to be able to stand up. You know what I mean?
Right. So your knees are being postponed then, or are you
well, I guess I got to go through the whole process again to get the knees done. And the hips took me a year, almost a year and a half to get those approved through the VA. So, yeah. And I didn't mean for this to become a VA Mike's all tore up from the floor up morning show, but it happens. It happens to a lot of people.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I had my knee done 2 years ago now, and I still have tightness in it.
Yeah.
And I still have problems.
2 years?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. It's been 2 years. Well, it'll be 2 full years come June, but a year and 3/4, but it still have tightness to it. And I don't have, I cannot put any kind of pressure on it on the ground. It just, if the ground's hard or anything like that, there's no way. It hurts way too much.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things I deal with.
Right. So I did hear this morning that there was the American Airlines flight that caught on fire at the Denver airport before takeoff? Just caught on fire. And they had to evacuate the plane off the runway. So that's kind of scary. And then, of course, you've seen all the comments on there about, if Trump wouldn't have got rid of air traffic controllers. Guys, it's a maintenance problem.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with air traffic controllers. But see, that's just the mentality out there. And people just jump.
People have to have somebody to blame for it.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. There's Trump haters out there, and how an air traffic controller connects to a fire inside of an aircraft. A normal person would say, really?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's crazy. Hey, Rainy Ridge.
I got their email.
Oh, did you get their email for their T-shirt?
I emailed her back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we had a giveaway Wednesday for Mid-America T-shirts, and Terry had her egg basket.
Yeah, I saw it. I put my numbers in.
Yeah, and then it was going so fast that I was on one computer, Terry was on this one, and we were looking, and then we seen, I don't know who it was. Was it Rainy Ridge? They had 34. That's the only 34 I've seen. And we go back, and there's Dawn at our flipping farmstead, and then Jesse had 34. So we gave away 3 shirts Wednesday night. So,
I was in the 50s.
Oh, were you? Hey, there's Sek Bucci. How are you doing?
Well, I just came up here because nobody else came up here. I wanted to see how your hips were doing. So I guess you're not ready to start doing any kind of marathons yet, huh?
No, I will probably never do even a walking marathon. But
I'm messing with you.
I can go out there and I can walk and I can feed the animals and do those things. If I get up on the tractor, I have a step stool that I have with the tractor because I can't get my leg up that high. So I have to do one step, and then I can get on the tractor. And then I can reach down, grab that, and hook it to the tractor. It's just a little aluminum step thing. So I can get on that because I helped David when he bought the metal building for his pigs from me, and we got it up on the trailer. So David's going, he goes, was it David? Somebody said something about, I seen that, you're like the king. You have to have a step thing to get up on top of the horse. Because you're too fat and old to get on a horse by yourself. So, yeah. Yeah, the VA, The rep put for the wrong hip, and now I have to start all over again. Yeah, that's horrible.
Come here. Hey, come here.
There's camera headquarters with Heartland headquarters with Dink and Tank. Good morning to you. So, guys, the link is at the top. You can click that and come on up, and we can talk about your week. And there is downtown Cindy Brown. Good to see you. Didn't turn into the VA. Oh, yeah. You know, we talk about everything, and, you know, that the VA is just, and don't get me wrong, great people work for the VA. It is just the regulations and how they have to operate. That's the frustrating part.
It's always been like that, though. They've always had, you know, step through this hoop, and then you have to go through this hoop, then you have to go through this hoop, and
yeah,
some VAs are better than others. You know, all depends on, you know, what's going on in that area, I guess.
Sure.
Now, my VA, you know, the biggest part, my complaint I have about VA is that you can't they don't keep a doctor very long. You know,
no, they don't.
Yeah, the first 5 years I was in, I had like 5 different doctors. Then I got this one doctor that she said, she was actually a nurse practitioner, and she said she was going to stay at VA. Well, she was for 5 years.
Right.
And then she just recently moved on because she got a position where she can work from home and take care of things from home with a VA and not have to drive into the office every day. So she took it. So now I'm without a doctor again.
Yeah.
Until they finally find one to take that position.
Well, I've had my doctor now for 3 years here at the clinic. Emily is just absolutely awesome. But before her, my doctor was in Ohio, and they'd make me a VA appointment, and I would go in there, and they'd take your vitals and all that stuff and upload it, and I had to sit there in a chair looking at a TV screen and talking to my doctor in Ohio.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let me look at that, and, you know, drop your pants and put your, you know, point it towards the screen. And I'm just like going, man, this is so freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, doctors through virtual TV is not really a hands-on doctor.
Yeah. Hey, there's Peaceful Des. How you doing? She's going to be in Texas here pretty soon.
Yep, about 24 days like that.
Yeah.
I'll be there too.
Oh, you're going down for it?
Yep, I'm going down to that one.
All right. Hey, there's Storehaven Farms up there.
Just I'm going. Susan's going to California.
Yeah. Good to see you, brother. I guess nobody wants to come up. Maybe they're not ready for the morning yet.
Good morning.
Oh, come on, Paul. Come on, Paul. You're always ready for the morning.
Anyway, I'm going to drop out.
Okay.
Leave room for somebody else.
All right.
It was good seeing you, Mike, and I'll see you at 10 at Mid America. We're not going to 10 Killer.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
No, but we'll see you at Mid America then.
Okay. We'll see you then.
Talk to you later.
Thanks. Let's see, Jennifer. Yeah, it doesn't matter what the outcome is, and here's what this is just Mike talking. Okay. It may feel uncomfortable because people don't deal with change very well. And we can see that in a lot of our politicians. And I don't think it's so much that they don't like the change of the shrinkage of the government. I think it's that they're finding out how it was run, the corruption, and how certain politicians are linked towards these nonprofit that are getting all this money, and how it's under the table being distributed and stuff like that. Because I don't see where you can just start a they call it NGOs, where you can start one and you're in your very first year and you're getting $2 billion from USAID. $2 billion. Okay. And your job is to help the poor and disenfranchised to become greener. What? Okay. And then you have no books on distributing all that money. In what world are you an NGO? You know, even if you're a 501c3 where you're tax exempt, you still, because with Combat Vets Motorcycle Association, we have to have one because people donate money to us. And you have to have a working ledger where every dime is going, because you have to do a IRS audit on how you're distributing your funds and how people get away with that. And now they're finding out this is how they got away with it. And this is how they got the money. And if you don't think that all that pork bellying through all those bills that they do, you know, you don't see all those little teeny things. Well, I will vote for your bill if we can do this and we can do that and stuff like that. And that's where that money is getting poured into. It's your tax dollars. You should be angry when you hear all this stuff. You should be absolutely enraged that they're doing it. But if you're a Trump hater, that stuff doesn't matter as long as you can say Trump is evil. Okay? We don't have we're not playing softball anymore. We're playing hardball. And I say go for it. If they already found 2-point-something trillion in waste, guys, I don't know how you can be against that. Okay, I get it. They got to shrink it. For example, the VA. In 2019, they were at 367,000 employees in that department of the government. In 4 years, they went to 476,000 employees in 4 years. Over 100,000 employees. That doesn't include all the contractors that they use. And now they said, hey, we want to get it back down to 2019 employees. Okay. And one of the hard things about a government employee, and I can speak on this because I worked for the government for 45 years, both in the military and both as a civilian. And I had to work with civilians and GS employees in the military also. And it was frustrating to me to say, hey, you tell a civilian that works for you and say, hey, I need to do that. I can't do that. I was hired as this, and that's outside the scope of my profile, meaning when I got hired for this and I can't go outside that. What? You know, and then it's true. They can go to the union and say, hey, they want me to go out there and help with some kind of community picnic thing, and it's not in the scope of my work. And they'll usually always win. They can volunteer for it, but they can't be voluntold for it. And then there's parts of the government that's not appropriated, where I worked on that side, and on our job descriptions at the bottom of every one of them, and all other duties as assigned. And on the GS, you don't see that. And on the GS side, you have to get prior approval for overtime and all this other stuff. But if you look over on the other side, on non-appropriated side of the government, first line supervisor, yep, go ahead and do it. You can work. And they just report it up because you got to get things done. And that's what they look like on the non-appropriated side. The appropriated side is not like that at all. And then we find out through the news that the $135 billion of fraud that they found out about during COVID. And now we can say the word COVID, guys. They found $135 billion of fraud, meaning people were getting money from the government under a certain aspect, this is what we need this, and it was never done. And they're finding it out because you got to report back on how the money was spent, and it wasn't done. And now they're finding that out. So there's another $135 billion that they could use, put it back into the treasury if they can recover it. I don't know. To put all this money back in and fix America. If they could take that 2 point whatever trillion dollars that they found and they can bring it back in, suck it back in, if they can, I don't know, and fix America internally, okay, then that would be great. You know, I don't care if they build a woman's shelter in every town in America to support abused women or homeless vets or whatever the case is, then why not do it? Fix the dams that are cracking, fix these dang highways and bridges that were built back in Eisenhower's days and fix stuff. I mean, I would be happy with that, or return it back to the people. What's wrong with that? They gave it to you. Return it back to the people. You know, not some little dinky $1,400 check. I'm saying, you know what? Help people out that live here instead of, you know, sex change operations in Guatemala. I'm sorry, but America first is the only thing on my brain. Okay. And it's just frustrating as hell. I need to get down to the bottom of this because I've missed so many people. Shiloh Acres, how you doing? Yeah, uneducated Trump haters. There you go. And there's Linda Peterson saying hello, hello. Yep. And Jennifer say they probably don't want people to develop a friendship. Yep. It's easier to doctors to deny you. Yeah, they do that. It's just like, it's kind of like your and I can only talk about the experience I've had. It's like if they keep telling you no, you might go away, and we don't have to do this. I ain't going away. I'm gonna keep fighting. Des will be in Texas on the 10th. That's the 10th of April. Yes. Because the 10th of March is gone. See how I can figure things out, guys? Oh, yeah. And we had a lot of that before they had that computer system, that if a doctor prescribes something, all of a sudden the computer will say, stop, and they'll get a thing because the doctor showed me. She goes, no, that'll conflict with this medication over here. And so they have to do a different route. So, but in the past, I've heard horror stories of people dying because their medications were mixed, you know, and it caused complications. Hey, there's AK Bill. Alaska Bill's in here. And yet, and I will tell you that they're talking about privatizing one of in the dark spaces of YouTube and in the internet. They're talking about privatizing the VA, taking that money, assigning you to doctors within your community, and then paying those doctors for the services provided to you. Now, I don't know how they'll fix, or I'm sure they probably can't do that because disability through Social Security is a freaking nightmare, guys. A nightmare. It's crazy, and it just seems like they're in the same boat as the VA. Keep shoving paperwork towards you and prolonging it, because I think I've been on. I got my Social Security relatively fast because I met all the requirements for Social Security. But then when I went to the disability side of it, and I started that in September of last year, it wasn't until March I got like 3 packets from them saying, fill all this out. And it was like repetitive over and over and over. It's like, I'm guessing that they were trying to figure out if you're going to lie or not. It's kind of like a personality profile where it seems like you see the same questions over and over, but it's worded a little differently. And then they sent me one. I said, well, what is this third person? They sent me a third person questionnaire of like 4 pages of information. And I'm saying, what the heck is this? Do I fill this out too? No instructions whatsoever. It doesn't say, hey, find somebody to fill this out for you. But then I'm saying, well, who sees me every day? And why would they believe Terrie? She's my wife. Why would they want Terrie to fill it out? In case they want both of us to share the same jail cell for fraud. I don't know. And so I didn't fill it out, and I turned the other paperwork in. And then Terrie got a message say, hey, we sent this to you to fill out. And I guess I didn't look at the name thing in the window. And we went back and we said, oh, it did say Terrie. And so Terrie filled it out and stuff. And I left her alone. I didn't even help her with it. I said, you fill it out. You know everything. I didn't lie on mine. If they approve it, they approve it. If they don't, they don't. And I just stay with the Social Security. And I'm not going to go out and hire a lawyer. Although the difference between regular Social Security for me and Social Security disability is almost $900 difference. You get almost $900 more with disability, which brings me to my next point is if both parties are talking about they're for the people, they want what's best for the people, our constituents, they want what's best. Why would you, as a whole group, not approve? I know why, because it's one of the Trump promises, no tax on tips. How many people would that affect in America? If you're working off tips and a reduced salary because you're getting tips so they don't have to pay you, actually don't have to pay a waiter or waitress minimum wage because there's the tip part that's part of being a server or whatever for customer service. No tax on tips. No tax on Social Security, right? And that's Social Security for seniors, meaning if you're collecting Social Security and you're 35 because whatever condition you have or whatever, it doesn't affect you. It's only for seniors that meet the threshold of 62 years old and older. Okay, no tax for them because you're getting money for all the money you put in. So we'll tax you with that so it can go back in, okay? And how much would the $2.7 trillion help Social Security and Medicare? Just saying. Instead of sending it to some foreign country to figure out why Bali, how to teach Bali about climate change in Bali. If you've ever been to Bali, you don't need that. Okay, so why do you need millions of dollars to study climate change in Bali? It's being funneled, guys. It's being funneled. And then what was the third one? No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security. And then I forgot the third one. Man, what was that? But then every Democrat voted against it. Every last one of it, because it was a Trump promise. That's why it's not going to pass. So that's just asinine to me. So they're doing stupid things. Stupid things. I did read in the news that the ex-president who left office, didn't win the election, was arrested in the Manila airport by the International Criminal Court. They snagged him up in the criminal court, transported him somewhere, Netherlands or wherever the court's at, and for what was it? Some kind of humanitarian crime. What was that for, hon? The ex-president?
He was executing over.
Because here's what he was doing, guys. He got into office and he told everybody. He did the Trump thing. Hey, if I get into office, all these drug lords and all these drug camps and all these terrorists that are down in Mindanao and places like that, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to kill you. That was his word. I read it word for word out of his lips. And guess what he did? He started a commando police squad. They airborne in, they jump in or they go in, and they were taking these people out left and right. The criminal court comes in. Now that you're out of office, they arrest you at the Manila airport, and they're going to try you for killing all these people. I don't know. I'm not against killing every terrorist in the world. Sorry. But yeah, they may have families and stuff, but you're killing other people. And he wasn't going to have no part of it because it was getting bad. It was getting bad, guys. They took over Mindanao, and he went in there and he slaughtered them. And were there civilian casualties? Probably. I don't know. I wasn't there, but we have a good friend of ours in the Philippines that is a commando police officer. And when we went there to the Philippines, I talked to him about it. And he told me, because he's in civilian clothes and he stuck close to me and Terry because he took some vacation because his sister, I went there. I was the best man at his sister's wedding because a friend of mine that's military and part of Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association was marrying this girl. So we all flew to the Philippines, spent a great vacation in the Philippines, and he stuck around. He was carrying a gun even as a civilian. He told me a lot of scary things that were going on with them. And it was just, kill or be killed type situation over in the Philippines. So anyway, that was in the news. I read about that. And, Terry told me about it. And then I looked it up and I was reading about it. So, hey, Marcel, good to see you, brother. Yeah. Good to see you. And there's Hiking with Jackie Boy. Glad you're in here. Yeah. Can I just have a percent of $2 million? I could put it in my retirement fund. I'd be set. So nobody wants to come up and talk. Man, on Monday, we had 3 people up here. We had Tony, Ginger, and Natasha from Budget Preppers was in here. Yeah, we had a good talk. There you go. Yeah, because them cows ain't paying for nothing. Yeah, you should do like an LLC. And a lot of people do that. I know David over at Come On, he LLC'd Come On Homesteading. So when he buys stuff, he can just put it towards that. And the good thing about doing an LLC, if something goes wrong and you lose everything, then the LLC takes the hit and not you personally. So a lot of people are starting to do that. with their farm. Well, I'm pretty sure farms have been doing it for a long time. But you can LLC is it your homestead or your farm or your ranch or whatever as a business, and you can buy stuff towards the business and not towards your name. And if you're up there in years and stuff, it doesn't really, I guess, matter. Um, so you don't have to take the hit and lose everything. Hey, there's Linda. Good morning to
Hi.
you, Linda. How are
Good
you?
morning. Pretty
How's the
good.
weather up there? How's the weather up there?
It's starting to get a little dicey.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But is it coming across without an echo?
Nope, you're fine.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about a physician, a doctor, you pick a doctor that's a teaching doctor,
Yeah.
and they take you in, and more or less they are taking you in during their lunch break. That's how I went from the hospital that I worked in for 17 and a half years. I drive 4.5 hours one way just for a doctor's appointment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And my son was able to get me into that doctor. And that doctor said, they've saved the best for last.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it was. We would sit and chit chat back and forth. And there was times he would ask me for advice on a patient.
Right.
No names or anything like that, but he says, I know you've gone through a hospital and you have learned an awful lot. So he would tell me the specifics, and I would tell him what I had come up with.
Right.
And he would try it with that patient then.
Right.
And then that one time, he looked me right in the eyes and he says, I need a doctor's second opinion.
Right.
Watch me walk. And my physician had MS. And I says, you're dragging your left leg. He says, you're better than the first physician I had.
Right.
So there are things you learn, you memorize. You do not let them go out of your head. And
Yeah.
when it comes down to having a physician call on a TV, no, I don't go for that.
Yeah.
Because the second physician that I had up north, there was a lady that came in with her 3 kids, and she was ready to blow.
Mm.
I mean, she was pregnant to the word go.
Yeah.
And I delivered her baby there.
Oh, wow.
The doctor said he couldn't deliver her. But I delivered the baby, and then I asked her if she felt all right. And she says, yeah, I do. And I says, do you have a mom or a mother-in-law to call? And she says, yes, I do. And I go, call both of them, and then I will drive you to your home. I won't say anything else about it, but you have to be at home resting. And I delivered everything that was needed to be delivered. And it wasn't just the first child I've delivered,
Yeah.
it's been the 10th, 11th child I've delivered.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are some of the things that I have done.
Yeah. One of the things that bothers me is, you remember back in the day where they passed something with the FFA, you can't have cigarette commercials on TV, and you can't have this and you can't have that, and so on and so forth. One of the things that I feel should be implemented is to remove all these drug commercials from any kind of TV commercial.
Yes.
It is screwing up people so bad. And I went to my doctor and I told her. She goes, "Stop looking at those commercials. They're there to hook you. They're there to sell you stuff, and don't listen to them." And I just go, she's the one that told me, it's kind of like they said, well, cigarette commercials are influencing young kids to smoke and stuff like that. When the Marlboro Man and Winston and all that stuff, and even NASCAR got rid of Winston Cup and to popularize smoking and stuff like that. And now the drug world is doing the exact same thing, and it is screwing people up. I mean, if you want to lose weight, how many commercials are on TV about the different types? And people go and get that. It's kind of like when Viagra came out, you could go online and talk to a doctor in India, and you just tell them to fill out a questionnaire, and they would send you a prescription over the internet. And how many people abused that and died of heart attacks, older gentlemen and stuff like that, and it killed them because their heart just blew up. And it's the same thing. All these things, I look at it, and then you read all the possible side effects. Why would you take this pill if this laundry, it fixes one thing, but it could affect all these 25 different other things in your body? But I just feel that it's something that is influencing not only minors, but people who want a quick fix to whatever's ailing them. And they're not doing their research. It's kind of like bad mouthing a president because you hate that president, and you're not doing any research. You're on your own, or going to talk to your doctor about that. Now, if a doctor says you've got, let's just say, Crohn's disease, and they got you on a medication, and what they got you on is not physically making you feel better, and then you say, well, what about this one right here? And like the VA will tell you, well, we don't carry that. You have to take what the VA carries and not what actually works better, if or easier word.
That, Big Mike, that's where you go to a pharmacist that has served the military.
Mm-hmm.
You talk with that pharmacist, and he knows of all of your drugs that you're taking. So he legally and bindingly is the person who's going to get charged up first.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes against your physician, your doctor who
Right.
ordered that. that drug then, because they have their little, as I say to one pharmacist, pull up your big boy panties and fight for me then. And that's exactly what has happened.
Sure.
They have fought for me. And it's not just that big boy panties, but when I was paying for books
Yeah.
for a person to go to school for pharmacy, I paid for the books and then I got the books.
Yeah.
I memorized. And when I go to my drugstore, that's not by the person that I paid for the pharmacy books to go through. They go, "Can you help us? We need help with this patient or that patient." And I
Right.
just talk to them like you and I are talking right now, and I ask, "How you been doing lately?" "Oh, I've had a cold," or whatever.
Right.
"Are you on any high blood pressure medicine?" And then they tell me outright what they're on. And we go down the aisle and I pick out the one or two items that I think are reliable for them. And then I say, go to the pharmacist and see if that will work with your high blood pressure medicine. And they do that. And they find out that, geez, Linda's pretty darn smart.
Hey, real quick, one thing is the when we talked earlier about the bill for no tax on tips, no tax on senior Social Security, and thank you for the reminder, Barbara, is no tax on overtime. Huge, because a lot of people work a lot of overtime to help pay their taxes, you know, because you pay that chunk out of your paycheck, and your overtime is a lot of people work overtime to help pay those taxes so they can have exactly what they made. I did that when I was a civilian employee and stuff like that. But what's wrong with that? Okay, you're already spending my money frivolously. There you go.
Yeah.
Already. So now that we found all this money that you're throwing away to bull crap, sorry,
Mhm.
why not? You know, you don't need as much tax money if you stop doing all this stuff. I mean, if you're giving away 2 point whatever trillion dollars and our deficit is 2 trillion a year because we're spending 2 trillion more than we take in. So that means if you're bringing in 7 trillion dollars, but you only need to run the government on 5 or whatever we have, there's your deficit. Okay. So you're already getting it, but we're paying taxes on money, you know, or they're paying out money that our taxes are not paying for. So what do you do as a family? Okay. No, I think I'll spend, you know, 2,000 a month more than I bring in. Where does that put you in a couple of months or a couple of years? It puts you on the streets, homeless, and you're going to lose everything and you're going to go bankrupt and you got to file for bankruptcy and you got 7 years to recover from that. And how do you survive as either a couple, as a person, as a family when you're doing that? So we can't do that. We can't live like that. So why should we expect our government to live in a world where they're paying out more than they take in. Okay. Because look, nobody makes as much money per year in America than what we pay on interest on $36 trillion. Okay. Now, I don't know who we're giving that money to. Who are we paying out? Every single country. I know we owe China money. We owe all kinds of people money because we have to borrow that money to survive over the years. And I'm going to tell you something. It's just frustrating as a taxpayer that, oh, you're not paying enough. And now we're finding out, no, we are paying enough. You all up there are paying it like a teenager who got their first job. Okay. You can't keep no money in your pocket and you're spending it as fast as you can bring it in. And then you're living outside your means. Because if it was you and me living outside our means, we'd be on the street in a pup tent under a bridge somewhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's just facts.
Mike, this
Yeah.
is what I teach, and I've done speeches in Pay It Forward when I was younger. When I tip someone or I order food into the house,
Mm-hmm.
I look them straight in the eyes and I go, if it's a lady, I go, you've got a bra on, right?
Yeah.
And they go, yeah. I go, okay, put this $20 bill in your bra. Legally and bindingly, if somebody comes at you and tries to get the money, make them work for it because one, it's going to be molestation, and
Yeah.
two, it's going to be robbery after a while.
Sure.
And then also, I tell them when they get paid from their job, they should put a $20 bill in an envelope and keep on saving it for a Roth IRA account. And they can also have an IRA account.
Sure.
You can have both of those. And
Yeah.
I have taught many people this. And I even, when I go into another state and I find a good buy on food, I buy and I bring it home in boxes.
Yeah.
And I have that at my kitchen. So when I order a pizza or whatever, then I can give them a jar of honey or a 1/4 thing of honey for themselves.
Yeah.
Hi,
Hey,
Terry.
real quick.
Hi.
Didn't they pass that?
Yes,
Did
they
it
passed it. It went into effect in August. There should be no
state
taxes.
tax?
Yeah, no state tax. Now
No
that
state
doesn't
tax
mean that
on food in Oklahoma
that
now.
doesn't mean that the city municipalities can't. They can still tax. So they're
But
like
see,
Alistair, I think, went from 10 to 6%.
Yeah.
So because it was a 4-point-something% tax that the state had,
Yeah.
and now it's gone. So
Yeah.
but
So,
see, in each state, each county, each city, it's completely different from the East Coast to the West Coast, from
Sure.
north to south. And when it comes down to the C word, I have actually said cancer. I have had cancer several times in my life.
Yeah.
But when they had that since 2020, I just sort of threw that
Yeah.
one
So,
word on out.
if,
And I-
if states and people were talking about one thing, I wanted to talk about this, is Florida has enacted a Doge for the state of Florida to find
Mhm.
all the waste that they're whatever. And every state has waste. Everybody is spending money on things that taxpayers have no clue what they're spending money on. And I get that. So Florida, DeSantis has said, okay, we're going to do a Doge. We're going to rip this government apart, find out where all the money's actually going, because the politicians don't know where it's going, because it's been going there forever. I mean, you got people that are 150 years old and still getting a Social Security check every month. Somebody's cashing it. It ain't the 150-year-old person that's cashing it. And they're finding these people. But back to Florida. So they're going to find all this waste. And right now, Florida does not have income tax in the state of Florida. In most states, whatever thing you buy within the state is usually a little bit higher to make up for there's no income tax in the state. So that's what Florida does. That's what Texas does, and so on and so forth. I think Oregon and some other states. So now Florida's looking at, hey, if we can find enough waste and save enough money, then let's stop the property tax in the state of Florida. And he believes that there's enough waste that the state does not have to collect property tax. Now, the county or city or whatever is different. They're talking at the state level. So if you don't do that, how much is that going to affect people in their mortgage? It's huge. Okay. And that's what they're doing. Now, I will tell you, and you can say, hey, Big Mike said this, or Big Mike was wrong later on. There will not be a quote unquote blue state ever, okay, doing something like this. Okay. What the red states are for, if you're red, it is for smaller government, for government not telling you what you have to do every step left and right. There's no total control, okay, where people, and I'm going to tell you something, Lyndon B. Johnson, this is just me talking, Lyndon B. Johnson was the worst person in the world when it comes to a welfare state. He was the worst in the world for putting people down and making them subservient to the government. If you're living off the government as far as a welfare, or you got 5 kids, you're a single mom and you're collecting money, okay, that is governmental, sorry, to me, slavery, because you are a slave to the government and you are not. I don't care what anybody says. If you're living a life where you are dependent on something else, you are not going to vote for anything that's going to hurt your money. Okay?
Right.
I don't care if an atomic bomb went off of knowledge. You are not going to vote for something that's paying all your bills. Okay. And that's where we're at. There are so many black, white, brown, Asian, whatever. If you're living off the government and you're in the Appalachians, you are not going to vote for somebody that's going to hurt your income, period. And that's what welfare did. Okay. It has made a lot of people subservient. My family, when I was growing up, we were on welfare. We were poor. And there was no way in the world my mother with 7 kids, single mom, would ever hurt the income that was coming in just to survive. Okay. I mean, my mom would go to the Catholic charities and pick up food, my grandmother, and then she went to the Mormon side, who had a better welfare system and an employment service and all that kind of stuff, job training. than anybody else did in our area. And we got welfare off that side too, plus the state. Because I get it. When you're poor, you will do anything in the world to survive. People who have money don't understand that. Okay. People don't understand what struggle is all about until you're in the shoes or you're in a situation where you don't know where the next meal for your children are going to come from. And my mom and my grandmother were queens of fighting the system, you know?
Mike,
And
I'm
it just it aggravates me when people don't don't you don't understand. I mean, I'm against people living off that, and a work program, get them back to work and stuff like that. Why work when you're making money and you're surviving? And it's just it hurts me because I lived that way for my entire childhood. School shopping was at Goodwill or Salvation Army. I wore pants until they were up above my ankles. And people don't understand that. And I do. It's kind of like nobody will understand what it means. People always say, oh, you should just get off drugs or you should get off the alcohol. You don't know what it's like if you're saying that and you were never an alcoholic or you're never a drug addict. It is a sickness. Welfare is the same way. It's hard to get off of it. If there's no programs out there, okay, $2.7 trillion is available. Help people in America within our borders to help themselves. Okay.
Mhm.
Job training, whatever, learn a skill, pay them as they go to school to be a welder, a carpenter, or whatever, trades schools or whatever. Let's help people inside first and make people proud in their daily lives, then ship money to other places to say, hey, climate change, here's $1 billion to help you fight climate change in frickin' Hawaii or some other country or whatever. That's just, to me, is just crap. And we got to stop all this stuff. And that's just Big Mike's word of the day.
Big Mike, I'll tell you something. You're talking to someone who's fished with, I think of him as Grandpa Ike.
Yeah.
I went fishing with him. My dad cut his hair also. And he cut President Kennedy's hair before he got into presidency, only as a little barber. But it doesn't make any difference how much a person's worth. Even if you're worth an awful lot of money, you're still pulling and scraping just like you did back when you were in high school.
Yep.
And first married. You're still looking for those coupons.
Yeah.
And you're buying milk when it's cheaper at this store. You may have 4 stores to go to, but you go to those 4 stores and you buy those 2 gallons of milk because it's cheaper there. And the same way with eggs. I mean, for me, I go to a farmer and I help milk cows. I get eggs from him, but I get milk from him when milk is up high. And when it comes down to Thanksgiving time, we
Right.
butcher a cow, and I show him what I have learned. I know how to make ring bologna, and I have helped him. Build a smokehouse so he can butcher a pig. I have gone often YouTube and learnt how long it takes to grow a pig and
Right.
stuff like that, and how to expire it. When I was 4 years old, I was taught by my grandpa from Germany how to deal with butchering. He never showed me how to expire the animal. And it wasn't until I got into my early teens that I learned how to do that. And then from my grandfather, I learned how to make ring bologna and how to smoke the bacon, the hams, and stuff like that. My Thanksgiving weekends were more or less 4 days of butchering, and we had 7 deer also to take care of, and I was the main butcher. My father-in-law was the one who sharpened the knives.
Right.
So you go back through the time of what does a millionaire really do to get to be there? They have been raised by parents. They have listened to their moms and dads how to do things.
Right.
And they are doing the same thing. When I go up north to that other state, I buy my food because, one, I don't have to pay taxes on that food up there.
Right.
And if I want to buy clothes, I go over to Minnesota and I buy my clothing there and my boots there because I don't have to pay taxes there. Here in Illinois, it's a big surcharge. I mean, you're talking more than 6 to 12 cents on a dollar. And that's way too much. If you're gluten-free, I buy all of my flours up there. And my mom, when I was growing up, she sewed on a treadle sewing machine. I learned from my mom how to sew on a treadle sewing machine. I made my own wedding dress, my maid of honor, my bridesmaid dress on a treadle sewing machine.
Right.
And that was while going to college too.
Now, I want to say something real quick. I seen this comment. They canceled like 100,000 government credit cards, what they are spending the money on. Here's what happened. And I went to several sources when I heard about this. Trump canceled all these credit cards because these credit cards were for people, were given to people, and they were paying. It was a credit card they used at certain levels of the government to pay for meals and stuff like that when they went out and talked to people, and they can say, well, we were talking about this and that or whatever. And some judge, they found a judge that said, hey, you have to give these credit cards back and he was ordered. The president was ordered to give these credit cards back because they put in, hey, you took away my meal card. I work for the government. Nobody ever gave me something to pay for my lunches or my dinners or anything like that, because I taught government to a lot of people, even at lunch and all that. So for some reason, these people had a credit card, kind of like a diner's, remember diner's credit cards?
Mhm.
And so they were using that money to pay for their meals and stuff like that. And I do know I had a travel card, a government travel card that I used for my meals when I was traveling because I was on government expense and they ordered me to go somewhere. That's a horse of another color.
We had to pay that personally.
Yeah, we had to pay it personally. So he was ordered by this judge to give those credit cards back. He gave them back, but he gave them back with a $1 limit.
That is cool.
Now they're really pissed. Hey, you ordered me to give them back, but he made sure that whoever was doing the credit card, I know my credit card was by CTI for my travel card, and US Bank covered my purchasing cards for the government. Like if I needed to buy stuff to keep a business running within the government, I could buy locally, which I always told my people to do. But then you've got this thing called prime vendors that the government comes out with, and you got to give them your business first. Okay. But I said, hey, but there's a little clause here. I can get it cheaper here. And I always took the hit. They said, you didn't use it on here. Yes, but it was $3 per unit cheaper buying it here locally. So you can't put me in jail. You can't take my credit card because I abide by the rule of the credit card agreement. And the government's always, can you get it cheaper? And I said, I'm not going to spend over here on your prime vendor, let's say Coca-Cola, and I'm spending more. But Pepsi said, hey, I'm going to give you a deal on your soda machines. And you're going, holy crap, I'm paying like $60 cheaper per month per every soda machine that I own in my bowling center, my restaurants, whatever, my clubs and stuff like that. So I went with Pepsi. Boy, I took some flack, and I went to a big directors meeting in Virginia, and I said, listen, this is a bunch of crap. You guys, you tell me to watch every dime, but the prime vendor is this much higher than what they gave me a deal on. And I'm just going, they're going, oh, what are you going to say? But see, and there's some people that work for the government that just says, hey, I don't care what it costs. I'm not paying it. And if you're on the GS side, you can do that. But if you're on the non-appropriated side, you only get funding to survive. And what money you make is what you spend on your people. So for example, a GS employee for our government doesn't have to worry about their paycheck because they get the funding and everybody's paid for, right? Mm-hmm. On the non-appropriated side, I work for Army MWR. They said, well, we'll only pay 100% for the director and your chiefs and your managers. Okay. So that comes out to what? 15 people, 16 people, whatever it is. And then you've got 130 people that work for you that they only have a job because you're making money. Okay. Mm-hmm. People are travel trailers, people are going to your restaurant, they're going to bowling centers, and you use that money to pay people. Well, when like during COVID, we were this way. We had people and we had money. So guess what Big Mike had to do? I'm sorry, but I have to lay you off because I don't have no money to pay you because they will not allow me to go into the hole. And if I go into the hole, guess what? I'm probably on a video call or on a plane trying to explain to people why I'm spending and I don't have, right? And that's what non-appropriated means. I can't sit there and go, well, I don't know. We got money. They sent money down. I don't have to worry about nothing. If you sleep on the job or we're not making money, who cares? But it doesn't work that way for non-appropriated. And non-appropriated is Army MWR or whatever MWR and what branch you work for. The commissary is non-appropriated, and they make their money off the 5% surcharge when you leave the store. There's no tax because it's on a military installation, but you pay a 5% surcharge, and that keeps them going. So as many people as they can get to come in and shop, that's how they make their money, and they pay people. The PX, the BX, the NX, whatever, they're not appropriated also. And people don't know that about that. They're not getting massive government money to cover all their costs. They have to make money to keep people employed. And so that's just a little lesson from Big Mike, former director of Army MWR.
So I know that.
That's how the government actually works. Okay, you give them money, and you say, "Oh, they're wasteful." All this thing about $100 toilet seats and stuff like that, and the $100 hammers. I never bought a $100 hammer because I was not appropriated. Now, whatever GS I did, that's a different story. But when I went to a GS building and I go to an MWR building, when I sat on the toilet seat, it all felt the same to me. You know what I mean? So I don't know where people get it, but it's like that. But we're talking about, the expensive stuff they buy. No, that's not where your tax dollars are going. Your tax dollars are going everywhere else and not taking care of us. You think that, hey, $2.7 trillion, hey, instead of giving a soldier, a 1.7% increase in their pay, because they're worth a lot more than they're paying them. Trust me, when you're working, you're on the clock 24 hours a day, and they can keep you there as long as they want to, and they don't have to worry about lawyers and all that stuff saying, hey, you're working me 18 hours a day. The military don't have to worry about that stuff, okay? And when you're deployed, you're on the clock 24 hours, okay?
You're on the clock 24 hours then.
That's it. And they don't have to worry about all that stuff. But then you go to the civilian side. Every time someone doesn't like something, they go and get a lawyer and they stop it. Again, everybody in the Congress, oh, I don't like that. Let's go find where do we know a lawyer that will stop this right now? Because the executive is in charge of the budget, okay? Just like my wife is in charge of the budget. I may bring the money in, but she says where it goes, okay? And that's how it goes. When you're the executive, you're in charge. The Congress is in charge of the purse. They say you can fund all this stuff. But now when it comes to the government, the executive, which is the president, is in charge of the checkbook. And they get all these lawyers going to all these judges, and it just wastes time. And in the end, it just goes, yeah, you can't tell them what to do. And now when we got judges, some podunk town in Connecticut saying, hey, yeah, this isn't right in my book because I'm a Democrat lawyer and I don't like Trump anyway, so let's stop this. The Supreme Court's got to pull up their big girl panties and say, hey, you do not have the right to stop the president from taking care of the checkbook. That's what they need to do. That's within his privy of being the president is. And these guys are playing some kind of high school freaking game with politics, and that high school game affects me. It affects you. It affects everybody, and it's got to stop.
The president has the cabinet that he goes to and he listens to. And then also there's the governors, the senators, and the Congress. They all have a say in what's going on. And then they put in their feedback
Yeah.
and they talk. I mean, for myself personally, I know of a senator. I
Yeah.
know personally of a congressman in my area. I got him from weatherman to congressman, and I want to see him go higher because I know he would do good when it came down to this past election, when it was 10:30 at night and
Mm-hmm.
I saw what was coming across the board. Usually election night since I was little was pizza night. Us girls were treated to pizzas for
Yeah.
working so hard on a corner, handing out leaflets and stuff like that, or answering phones. But that night, when I saw how the states were, I knew who was being elected. It did not pay to stay up any longer.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I can say about the president is that, yeah, he made the genders female and male.
Yeah.
No,
That was,
really, honestly and truly. I've got a granddaughter. I've
yeah.
bathed her, and she's in her teens, and she wants to become a boy, but she
Yeah.
still wants to be having a child.
Yeah.
And I thought, if you think you had a hard time having a menstrual cycle, and I know this is really open and honest, but if you think it was hard having a menstrual cycle,
Mhm.
wait until that kid starts popping on out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what, and I don't know what it feels like to have a baby. And I seen something somewhere where some guy on a talk show said, "Oh, we're having a baby." And the lady that was on there, Mia Kunis, said, "You're having a baby?" "Oh, yeah, we're having a baby." Yeah. No, there's a lot of opinions. And I think it's funny where, I do 3 minutes of work and I'm saying we're having a baby. The woman's having the baby. Okay.
The
Uh,
woman is having the baby.
I never felt the pain in any segment of the development of my kids where I felt any kind of pain whatsoever. And
Okay,
I
Mike.
do agree. I do agree that people sit there and, it's a woman's body, it's a woman's choice. Okay. I can agree with that. Okay. It is her choice. And it is, with a lot of things in life and stuff like that, you're not going to know what's right and what's wrong until the day you're 6 foot deep and the veil has been lifted and you find out what the truth really is. And he will tell you what the truth is. And we say, okay, it's great. When you argue and argue, when I see people arguing about a subject and they just get ugly and nasty, you're working way too hard to convince me that you're right. Okay.
Mike.
Just let people live their life, do what they think is best for their lives. And guess what? If there is a heaven and there is a judgment day, that's when we're going to find out. And with
There
that,
is a heaven. There
yeah.
is a heaven.
And with
My
that,
first,
I'm going to
my
end it because
firstborn.
we are way over. I'm sorry. we can pick this up on
My-
Monday. Go ahead.
My firstborn, Mike, I had her. And then I was pregnant with a second child within 6 months. And it was either giving up that child,
Yeah.
and I still suffer since
Right.
73. But I think to myself, okay, I was able to have my third child, and he's doing darn good. Both of them have brains like their mom.
Mm-hmm.
We 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 have brains that just keep on going. We just keep on going. It's like
What?
everything in the chat that I saw. Yeah, I memorize it.
Gotta go. She has a hair appointment. But
Yeah,
anyway, with that,
right.
we're gonna end this one. We've been on for an hour and whatever. I don't know. And it doesn't really matter. But I've got a roof guy coming to check the west side of our house. We took some hail damage and now it's leaking on my that side of the house. I mean, we took a pounding on that side. But anyway, guys, I go live morning talks with Mike on Mondays and Fridays. Friday we talk about whatever happened during the week, and then we'll talk about your weekend on Monday. So I hope you guys will join us. Tell your friends about us. Come on in here and have some coffee. Now we may talk about anything. I mean, this was not the direction I planned on going because I didn't have a plan. I just wanted to talk to people about stuff and see what's going on with them. And I will always put the link at the top, and you can come up and join us. I mean, guys, remember, be kind to one another, help somebody in need, and always think of that. Guys, we love you. God bless you. And remember, Sergeant Talk TV is live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and MT Homestead is live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I kept that 8 p.m. thing in there, but Morning Talks is at 8:30 because people don't like to get up.
It's easier on you because you like to go night-night.
That's right. And guys, remember, we love you. God bless you. We'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Good night. I mean, not good night. Have a good day, Linda.
I will. You take
All right.
care.
Bye-bye.